Marvel has already told us who's gonna die at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 3. All you need to do is look at the logos. The logo for Guardian 1 has a hard dark brown exterior with a softer lighter brown interior. You know what else is brown on the outside and light brown on the inside? Groot. A hard outer brown bark with light brown wood in the middle. Remind me again, who died at the end of Guardians 1? Oh yeah, it was Groot. Now look at the logo for Volume 2. It's blue and red, just like another new member of the Guardians team in this movie, Yondu. Blue skin, red fin. And who died in that one? Yondu. What does this tell us about Volume 3? Well, there are actually two logos. The original one was gray and textured, just like Drax with his gray skin and tattoos. The other is lighter brown with black letters, just like Rocket's brown fur and black stripes. Dave Bautista has said on record that he is done playing Drax. Meanwhile, the villain of this new movie is the High Evolutionary, the dude who outright made Rocket. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but Drax and Rocket are totally gonna bite it at the end of this new movie because Kylie from Avatar: The Last Airbender is an air nomad. That's not as crazy as you might think. First, she doesn't look anything like the other people from the Fire Nation. When you look at Zuko, Mai, Azula, Ozai, all of them have yellowish eyes, black hair, and sharp features. But Tylee, gray eyes, brown hair, round face. Funny when you think about it because she looks a lot like Aang. Heck, when you swap their faces, they basically look the same. This also lines up with how Tylee fights. She's super floaty. She likes to block chi and disarm opponents without killing them. This is exactly how the air nomads try to fight. They're defensive. They fly around. They cause as little harm as possible. Some air nomad temples were close to the Fire Nation, so visiting airbenders isn't out of the realm of possibility. In the comics, we see that some airbenders escaped into the Fire Nation before they got hunted down. And we know that Tylee traveled around in a circus, as well as had 6 other sisters. But we know nothing of her parents or the fate of her family. So maybe she was hiding in that circus all along because our theories have changed the backrooms. Back in February, shortly after Kane Pixels uploaded his first backrooms video, we did a film theory offering advice on how to survive a repeating maze of yellow walls and soggy carpets. Some key points in that video were collecting useful objects from the world around you, writing on walls, and knocking down ceiling tiles to mark everywhere that you've been. Guess what? Since that theory, there have been 11 new uploads with tons of evidence that characters are following my advice. In Pitfalls, we see an area where someone's collected a backpack, chairs, shoes, cardboard, and letters from signs that they can use as weapons or to mark where they've been. And in one of the newest uploads, Reunion, we actually see a map that has been carved into a wall, as well as several ceiling tiles that have been knocked out of the ceiling. Why? Well, it's so a lost async employee could more easily find his way around. Not saying that they're necessarily following our advice, but certainly looks like someone at async has been watching our videos. We also suggested climbing into the vents to find potential exits. Wonder if we're gonna see that one in a future upload. Because if that happens, that is undeniable proof that there's a character in the Lord of the Rings franchise that was created entirely by a meme. If you look into the background of a few scenes of Fellowship of the Ring, you might notice an extra being played by Brett McKenzie from Flight of the Conchords. You can see him right here in the Council of Elrond scene. He has no lines and no name in the film, but the fan base has collectively called him Figwit after an online fan saw him being all cute in the background and was like, Frodo's great, but who is that? Figwit, it's an acronym, F-I-G-W-I-T. Anyway, the name became so widespread that it even appeared on several trading cards made by Topps, though the official Lord of the Rings TCG calls him Agnor, a character from Tolkien's nerd Bible, The Silmarillion. I'm gonna choose to ignore that one though because it is boring. A documentary about this entire situation was actually released in 2004. Mackenzie has said that the whole thing is flattering, but the fan obsession is, quote, pretty weird. Mackenzie was later cast again in the Hobbit films as a different elf named Lindir. But I'm gonna believe that they're the same because it is awesome to think that Spider-Man's frame rate in Into the Spider-Verse reveals exactly how strong he is. Let me explain. Most movies are produced at 24 frames per second. That means that for every second that you see on screen, there are 24 individual images that are playing out to make that motion happen. But you don't need that many frames to make it fluid. A lot of old school animators actually took advantage of this by animating at just 12 frames a second. This made things way easier back in the day when everything had to be hand-drawn. Nowadays, it's not so necessary anymore. What does all of this have to do with Spider-Verse? All of its spider people, like Peter and Gwen, move at 24 frames per second, except for Miles. Right after getting his spider powers, Miles only moves at 12 frames per second. You can actually see it really well here as they're escaping out into the forest. Peter's swinging is silky smooth, while Miles is choppy at best. Later in the scene, as Peter's showing Miles the rope, the animation suddenly smooths out to 24 frames before Miles falls back to 12. Eventually, as Miles accepts the power and responsibility of being Spider-Man, he moves at 24 frames per second all the time. All of it just goes to show that there are more ways to tell a story. Just like how why are movie studios spoiling the best parts of trailers in the first 5 seconds? You know what I'm talking about, right? Those itty bitty mini trailers before the real trailer actually starts. I mean, why are those there? Well, it's simple. Ask yourself, what if you weren't already watching the trailer? Go to a movie theater and you'll notice that these little mini trailer tags aren't slapped in front of every trailer before the movie. Those 5-second previews are designed exclusively for two things: social media and ads. Studios aren't worried about spoiling the trailers for people who seek them out and watch them on their own. What they want to do is catch the attention of the normies, quickly scrolling through Facebook or Twitter. If they see the best parts of the trailer just scrolling through their feed, maybe they'll just stop and watch the whole thing. And you notice how long each of these tags are? 5 seconds. You know what else is 5 seconds? The unskippable part of YouTube pre-roll ads. So, same deal. Maybe you get an ad for the new Spider-Man movie, see the best parts, and you decide, hey, I might as well check out the whole thing. So these trailers for trailers might be annoying, but they get your attention, which means that you can now impress your friends the next time they ask. Nick Fury has been an alien imposter in the MCU for far longer than you might think. Nick Fury's most recent appearance was in Spider-Man Far From Home, which takes place in 2024. This is also when we learned that a Skrull has been helping Nick pull double duty. Fury works up in space and the Skrull is down on Earth. No big deal, right? Wrong. You see, during Captain Marvel, Fury shares this odd little factoid about his life.
Toast is cut diagonally, I can't eat it.
We know for sure that this is actually Nick Fury in the movie, since this whole plot is about him helping to root out aliens hiding on Earth. But here's where it gets crazy. In Age of Ultron, we see Nick cutting a piece of toast diagonally before he eats it. This Fury has to be a Skrull. Age of Ultron takes place in 2015, which means that Nick Fury has secretly been a Skrull on and off for at least 9 years, through the events of Civil War, Doctor Strange, both Ant-Man movies, and Thor Ragnarok. Sure, he doesn't appear in all of those things, but it just shows how much has gone on with him as an imposter. Sure makes the upcoming Secret Invasion series a bit more exciting once you know that. Look at this moment from Frozen. Hans imprisons Elsa using shackles that cover her magical ice hands. There's just one problem with that. Hans couldn't have made these. He's new to Arendelle. He would have had no idea that covering Elsa's hands would stop her powers. So who then made these shackles? The only people who would have known about her magic were her parents. In other words, Elsa's parents made a cell specifically for their daughter in the event that her and her magic got out of control. At least that's what the internet wants you to think. This viral post over on our subreddit ignores one key detail. This style of restraint is actually a real thing. They're not common, but they do exist. The basic idea is that you want to immobilize the hands of a prisoner so they can't pick the lock or injure themselves. A more modern version of these, the Mackenzie mitts. These were invented by Sheriff Jacob Oliver Mackenzie after a handcuffed prisoner captured his gun and then shot him in the leg. Also, this post just outright forgets the fact that the mittens don't do anything to Elsa. She literally freezes her way out of them in the very next scene. Not very effective if they were built specifically for her. The TLDR of all of this, a single image taken out of context can be misleading. Well, it's certainly a compelling theory. In the end, this one doesn't hold water. Or ice, I guess. This would never happen. You know how every Jurassic Park movie features a T-Rex chasing humans around looking for a snack? Yeah, not likely. These apex predators need a daily caloric intake of 200,000 calories. The average human body contains a little over 125,000. At first, this seems like humans would be the perfect snack, but there's a problem. Animals want efficient food sources, and humans are gonna run and hide and fight back. A running T-Rex topped out between 15 and 25 miles per hour, or about 24 to 40 kilometers an hour. So any car is gonna be able to outrun that dino. And if you're on foot, you're just gonna be able to hide in small spaces the dino can't reach. A massive 6-ton T-Rex hunting down a human would be losing massive amounts of energy during that fight. Lions and wolves can go weeks without food before eating up to a fourth of their body weight. Some crocodiles can go an entire year without a meal, and then they gotta chow down on half their body weight. These are feast and famine animals. Their meals need to be massive. A human just isn't doing that for a T-Rex. Why go after the puny human when there's a nice chonky stegosaurus that's giving you more food and is easier to chase down? In short, that's why superhero fashion needs an upgrade. It's like someone sent out a memo saying you can only wear primary colors. Oh wait, that's because someone did send out that memo. The printers. Back in the golden and silver age of comics, most were printed on ordinary paper with 4 basic ink colors: cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. This gave artists a color range of about 32 to 64 colors to use in their art. However, most of those colors never made it to print. See, while comic book covers had different printing methods that allowed for a dynamic color range, the interior printing didn't. This meant when designing the iconic outfits of our favorite heroes, artists had to get creative by keeping it simple. This is why Superman and Wonder Woman wear red, blue, and yellow. Why Spider-Man and the Flash's suit can be basically boiled down to 2 colors. When the Hulk made his first appearance, he was gray, but grays were too hard to produce, so they turned him into an easier to print green. And while modern day printers are more capable, these iconic colors stuck for generations. But still, we're talking about designs from like the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Those be old. That's why it's high time that Dragons breathe farts. Seeing a dragon breathing fire might look awesome, but that dragon in Honor Among Thieves is a lot worse than you think. And it's not because he's gonna barbecue you on the battlefield. See, in the movie, our chunky little dragon breathes out clear, flammable gas. It ignites with an electric spark that exists in the back of his mouth, or sometimes it ignites when it's close to something that's hot, like lava. So what the heck is this dragon breathing? What is this mysterious gas? Well, get ready for a rude awakening, my friends. There's a good chance that it's methane. You've probably heard of methane because it's the well-known gas for the byproduct of a lot of animals. By that, I mean it's farts. It's the gas that you expel out your toot chute. Believe me, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news for you here, but those amazing, majestic dragons are literally breathing out their own farts. Methane is clear and super flammable. You can spark it with electricity, or you can just ignite it in the air around you using something hot, like lava in the movie. And it's naturally produced by a huge range of animals, including dragons. Kind of gives a whole new meaning to the term dragon breath, am I right? So, seeing a dragon breathe fire in the movies, yeah, it might look cool, but remember,